rounding decimals. So decimals are parts of the whole. And so what does that mean, right? Like if you think about it, we have a quarter, right? And that would be a part of a whole, right? Because a quarter is not quite a dollar, right? It's just part of a dollar. And so now let's go over place values because this is also really important. So we have a 5 and then we have the dot, right? And so this is going to be our ones place value, right? And so we've gone over this, but now we're going to go to the right, right? So now when we go to the right of the dot, we're going to have tenths, right? So if you think about it, we have tenths, and then we're going to go on to our hundredths. So notice that we just add THS to the end, right? And then we have the thousands. And then we have 10,000s. Then we have 100,000s. And then we have our millions. Now let's go over rounding rules for decimals. So if it's between 0 to 4, we're going to go ahead and round down. If it's between 5 to 9, we're going to round up. Now this is for, right, when we look to the decimal to the right of the place where we're going to round to. So if we're, say, rounding to the nearest hundreds, we're going to be looking at that thousands place value to determine if we round up or down. So let's go over some examples. Example 1. Hannah arrives at the doctor's office for her annual sports physical. When she gets on the scale, it reads 155.7 pounds. Round her weight to the nearest whole number. Well, if we're rounding to the nearest whole number, that would be like right the ones place. We can go ahead and just underline that. And then we're going to go ahead and circle the thing to the right of it, right, which is after the decimal, right? And so we see that the 7, right, if it's between 0 to 4, that whatever's rounded, we round down. 5 to 9, we round up. So we see it's between 5 to 9, so that means we need to round up, right? And so if we were to look at this also in another way, is it 155 or 156? Right, like that's what we're asking. Where is this at, like closer to? And we can see that this is closer to this 156. And this also indicates to us that we're going to round up to the nearest whole number. So that would be 156. So we would round 155.7 to 156. So 156 would be our answer here. Now let's go ahead and look at the next example. Example 2, we're going to round this number to the nearest 1,000, and then we're going to go ahead and look at it to the nearest 100th. So let's go ahead and rewrite it just for part A first. So 1,000, so we're going to go ahead and look at the decimal. To the right we have tens, hundreds, thousands. So let's go ahead and underline that 3, because we're looking to see which thousands is this closest to, right? Then to the right of it is the 8, and so we see it's between 5 to 9, so that means we're going to go ahead and round up, right? If it's between 0 to 4, we round down, but it's 5 to 9 on this one, so our rounding then becomes 5.12. This 3 then becomes a 4, and then everything after becomes a 0. Now, on decimals, when you have, like, say, trailing zeros like this, we actually can just change it to like this, and that could be our solution. We don't even have to include the extra zeros. Either answer will be correct because they are considered both correct, but just so you know, these mean the same thing. But the most important part is that every number after what we've rounded to becomes a 0. Now, if we're going to round this number now to the nearest hundredth, we have tenths, hundredths, so we would underline that. Let's go ahead and circle the one to the right of it, right? And so 0 to 4, we round down. 5 to 9, we round up. So we see that this 2 then gets to be rounded down because the 3 indicates that to us, right? And so we would round it to 5.12. Then everything after the 2 becomes a 0. So you could either write this whole answer as a solution, or you can go 5.12. Right? So those mean the same thing because those trailing zeros, because there's no other number after, it's just zeros after any actual number. So you could just leave it as 5.12. And they mean the same thing. Example 3, round this number to the nearest hundred thousands. So let's go ahead and rewrite it. And so we have our tenths, hundredths, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. So let's go ahead and underline that. We're going to circle the thing to the right of it, and that will indicate to us if we're going to round up or down. And we see 0 to 4, we round down. 5 to 9, we round up. So we see it's a 9, so that means we're going to go ahead and just round up. So that 5, right, would then just become a 6. So it would be 214.13016, and then that would be changed to a 0. And so that would be our solution.